Because Jesus is the husband. You know Jesus very well. Single people are more committed than married people. In large extent. You know why? I'm married to Jesus. Satan, leave me alone. But you see, some of us that are married say, my honey. So this woman became married to Jesus. Committed. You know what Jesus did for her? Few years or 1-2 years when the man left, she was working as a sales girl in a boutique on Harlem or Kwebi. A mama walked in, she used to come in to buy things from time to time. This testimony looks like a lie. But some people know what I'm talking about. And this woman said, my daughter, I love you. The way you attend to me. Can you help me look for somebody like you that will be washing my house? I need a cleaner who will be coming 2-3 times a week to wash my house. She said, Mommy, I will look for. Her mind was that she will look for somebody. As she was praying one day, God said, what are you looking for? Don't you need more money? Have you not been saying I should increase your income? Since it is, you just be doing it. When you close, you go and clean the place. You go back to your house. You get the money. Mama came and said, have you gotten somebody for me? She said, yes. This is the person. I will wash it myself. Thank God she followed the leading of the Spirit. She started washing this woman's house. The woman fell in love with her, fell in love with her, fell in love with her. The first thing she did was that she saw that her struggles are many. How to pay school fees. She said she gave her children scholarship to PhD. Anywhere they want to go. Because she's a very wealthy woman. She said, this woman kept pleasing her. One day she said, daughter, I have 6 children and their name is written beside my bed. And I have discussed with all of them that we now have a 7th child in this house. I have written your name as number 7. I've called my lawyer to put your name in my will. She said, none of my children lives in a rented apartment. Go and look for 2-bedroom in any estate. I will buy it for you. She bought her a house. She took out of that place where she was serving like a house girl. Established her. Changed her life. You see, when you allow this God have his way in your life, that bastard that left, he was the one hindering that blessing for years. It was that bastard, that reckless human being. If he was still inside the house, that blessing will never locate the address. As soon as he left, I've met that guy before. He doesn't deserve that kind of person. We're talking straight like this. He was talking like this. He was talking like this. I said, no, this guy is not correct. This guy is not Sabbath. Ordinary to talk, we cannot even talk. I got pissed off. I started playing along. I said, okay, I'll turn you are correct. You are correct. So that I can leave my office open, he's ready to enter my office. I said, I carry. Because we are saying like this, you are following bush. We are saying this is bush, this is road. You said, no, this is road. Okay, since that is road for you, continue. He left her blessings, walked into her life. I prophesy. What you call loss, God will turn it to gain for you. What you call breakdown, God will call it breakthrough for you. What you call mistake, God will turn it to miracle for you. What you call loss, God will turn it to your gain. It's not a loss. Just thank God. It's not a loss. When you understand how God operates and you start thanking God, you will soon discover it's not a loss. I'm sure she will go somewhere and say, God, Oluwa, thank you that this man just... Because everything that she was struggling with just became simple. School fees, no problem, no issue. Everything just became easy. Everyone that is bringing disease in your life and everything that is causing disease in your life, God will separate you from such disease. God will bring supernatural ease into your destiny. Your amen is not loud at all. So what are we talking about? Don't forget. By the time God started doing, don't forget. King Nebuchadnezzar forgot. And God said this is a big offense. If forgetful people are ungrateful people. If your memory is short, your praise will be short. If your memory is short, your thanksgiving will be short. So you need to be thoughtful, because thoughtful people are grateful people. Why a wise man says if you can't think, you cannot thank, because you have to be able to think. and examine your life and say, me no. Me that some years ago, they will say, get up, you can't sleep on our sofa. Because I will be sleeping on other people's sofa. I'm not talking about myself now. I'm talking about somebody here. You were sleeping on some people's sofa some years, just few years ago. They accommodated you. There is no room for you. So you were sleeping in sitting room for years on sofa. Wawaka. You now do like this. You are now the one sleeping on 6x6. Maybe your own is even 12x6. You roll like this. You roll like this again. Only you. Archbishop Idauza, so he brought a pastor into his bedroom one day. The pastor saw the biggest size of bed he has never seen before. He said, Archbishop, your bed is too big. He said, it's not big. He said, it's the abundance life. He said, so that when I'm sleeping, I can roll this way. Then I roll this way again. Somebody I was sleeping on sofa before. That Archbishop his parents died. He was an orphan. He couldn't go to school. It was where he was living. The book of their children, when they come back from school, that he was reading. His parents picked him from dustbin. He was thrown away. He doesn't know his parents. He didn't go to school. He now owns a university. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. He's not a professor. He's not a lecturer. He doesn't have BSc. He doesn't have MSc. He doesn't have PhD. But he now owns university. He now employed professor. If you can think, you will thank you. A millenita yetiro. We pe kole down kan re se. Ṣùgbọ́n mo Olú ọ̀run ló bá mi. Who did it? What's the name of the person that did it? Jesus. Who kept you standing till now? Jesus. In this very, very hard environment, who made you stand? Jesus. Who kept your life running? Jesus. Who keeps your blood running through your vein? Jesus. Who keeps your heart beating? Jesus. Who keeps your kidney working? Jesus. Who keeps your sight working? Jesus. Who keeps you walking on your feet? Jesus. You are not crawling on your hand and on your knee. Stand up on your feet and shout, Jesus! I said, let's give him honor and shout his name, Jesus! For the third time, let's give him honor by shouting his name, Jesus! We should not be shy to call his name. Please take your seat briefly. We should not be shy to acknowledge him. He did it. I'm standing, he did it. I can eat, the food digest, he did it. Everything I am, he made it happen. Are you following what I'm saying? You have to be mindful. Everybody say, I'm mindful. You have to make conscious effort to be mindful of God's faithfulness and goodness in your life, in your family. You have to learn how to count your blessings. In fact, some people have taken it further. They write it down so that they don't forget. Amen. I was listening to a woman of God, and she said she writes it down. That's a few days ago. And I said to myself, it's time I buy a book too and start writing it down. Israel were keeping record. That's why they could celebrate all those celebrations. Passover, they kept record. They even took 12 stones out of the Red Sea and put it somewhere and said for a memorial so that we don't forget. I mean, do you know this testimony now? When they crossed the Red Sea, they said, hey, our children need to remember that one day God delivered their ancestors. They carried 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Wrote the name of each tribe on each and put it somewhere and said, this is for a memorial, so we don't forget. Where God visited Jacob, the stone he used as pillow, he wrote Bethel on it. He said, this is Bethel, for a memorial, lest we forget. Psalm 103 verse 103, bless the Lord, O my soul. And you have to make conscious effort not to forget. You must not forget. Don't be like the people my mother said in Kotoban Jelen Unikonoroti. It is only what they are still in, what they are trying to swallow. That's the only one they remember. Once they swallow it, they forget. Don't be that kind. Forgetful people are ungrateful people. Don't say it's 20 years ago he did it. If he didn't do it, you can't be here. Don't say it's a test. That testimony is many, many years. Testimony is every day. That's why Israel, on their calendar, they have celebration of this, celebration of that, celebration of this, because they don't want to forget. So every year, so they are passing it to the next generation. Tell your children about it. Oh, don't just tell your children. Let them know that this is how God saved that deal. If not for God, daddy cannot be here. And if daddy is not here, you guys can't be here. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Tell it to the next generation. Tell them it's a day of celebration. This is the day God delivered our family from poverty. When I got that multinational job, our story just changed. Tell them the story. This is the day I make a decision to marry your mother. Tell them. Oh. Because the Bible says, he said, if you will not lay it to heart, if you will forget, he said, I've already caused the blessing. May God not cause your blessing. Amen. So as I'm rounding off quickly because of time, one of the things I'd like you to note is Psalm 124, verse 1 to 3. From the New King James, Psalm 124, verse 1 to 3. Tell it on the mountain, over the hills and even in the valley. Shout it louder. Don't whisper it. Psalm 124, verse 1 to 3 said, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side. Let Israel now say, the next verse, if it had not what? He said, let the whole Israel re-echo, if it has not been the Lord who was on our side, when men rose up against us. Verse 3. Then they would have swallowed us alive when their wrath was kindled against us. Verse 4. Verse 4. Then the waters would have what? The stream would have gone over our soul. He said, let Israel always say, if not of the Lord. Let's go back to verse 1. Verse 1. If it had not been the Lord who was on my side. Please personalize it. Say it again. Say it the third time. So that's the summary of my message this morning. It has not been the Lord who was on my side. It's not because you are intelligent. No, it's the Lord. There is a personality that needs to be acknowledged.